Okay. Good afternoon, you guys.
Good afternoon.
What are you doing? Are you taking a picture of me?
Taking a picture of you, yes.
You guys, my dad is here.
Hi.
And it was Father's Day yesterday. And so we are doing a Father's Day podcast, I guess. You want to call it?
A day late.
A day late. A day late and a...
$1 short.
That's what it was. I was like a penny to... I don't know.
That isn't it. It's a day late and $1 short.
A day late and $1 short.
Hey, there we go.
Where
I'm
did
taking
that...
a picture of everybody else over there.
Yeah. See, cheese.
Gotcha.
So we got a lot of... I know it's really echoey. Wow. It's really echoey when you do that.
Don't do that.
When you take a drink of your water, be careful too, because it's ding.
Here, don't do this with your feet.
Yeah, don't do that. Call, this is going to take 2 hours with you, Dad. Oh. Did you get a nap today?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So he got his nap, so he's got his energy back. Right?
I did.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, so we asked on Instagram just like a ton of questions. I guess we'll start with the beginning, kind of. Some of them were like, how did you meet Renee? And we haven't really talked about that. So you want to kind of tell that story about how you met Mom?
Am I allowed to?
You're allowed to. People are going to be like, what? They're not going to believe it. Start from the beginning.
Start from the beginning.
How do you start?
How did we meet? Okay.
How do you start with that?
I know at the beginning. Well, see, I was born.
Yes.
No.
He did drugs and then...
Yeah.
Long story short,
did drugs, got court appointed to go to treatment, outpatient treatment.
Because you got caught.
Because I did stupid stuff.
Yeah. Was this when you broke the window?
We don't need to talk
or
about that.
Or was that a different time?
Oh, yeah.
It was that time.
It was that time.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
He said he just decided like, I'm just going to break this window.
Well, I went out and didn't have anything to smoke that night or anything else, so I went out drinking instead. And walking back, there was a big rock and that was laying on the street. And I thought I'd throw it through this plate glass window of J.C. Penney's down at Phelan Shopping Center.
Oh, was it J.C.
Which is not there anymore.
Not there anymore.
No, it's gone. It's a big swamp now.
Oh, I was going to say apartment buildings, but that's a swamp.
Yeah, they turned it into a swamp.
Oh, interesting.
Because that's what it was originally.
Turned it back to a swamp.
Yeah, so I ran away, and it wasn't too far to get to my apartment, but
yeah, I
was running too fast, and I ran past my apartment building.
Wow.
And two guys caught me, and they go, "What are you doing?" I'm going, "I was getting to my apartment." And they going, "Why are you breathing so hard?" Because I was out for a jog.
You said that? What time at this? Like 2 a.m.?
It was 2 a.m.
It was.
Yeah.
It's just going for a jog, slight jog.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, yeah.
No big deal.
So then I was going to outpatient treatment, and there was a party. It was a graduation party, like people graduate and get out of the program.
From drug treatment.
From drug treatment. So
got it.
It was a pajama party.
Yeah.
So guys and gals would wear, pajamas.
Pajamas.
Or,
Or the lack thereof.
like negligees, things like that. Nighties.
Yeah.
But Renee was the only one that didn't wear that. She wore one of those, what do you call those?
Like a foot.
Baby pajama things.
Yeah, like a footie, like a onesie type.
Onesie thing, yeah.
Kind of like I'm surprised that's why you don't like our onesies.
Well, I do.
Or saggy diaper.
But she's like, feet and everything all the way up to here. So I thought, up to her neck. And I thought, well.
Who's this lady?
I wonder what she's hiding.
She's got
just
something
thinking
under
like
there.
a guy, you know.
She must be hiding something good.
Yeah. So
you said, "Hey, my name is Dave." How did that?
I don't know. We just kind of
started
talking and introduced ourselves, and we chatted for the longest time in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Everybody else was in the living room and wherever else. And,
yeah.
And we were concocting drinks out of soda and whatnot and juice and just chatting.
And how old were you?
19.
19? Wow.
I think.
19.
Yeah, I think I was 19.
19. So she was like
16 going on 17.
She was 16 going on 17.
Right.
Oh.
Just like the song.
She's so young to be in drug treatment. I didn't realize she was that young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She can tell her story too. Next time.
Next time
with my mom. But
so then we just kind of start seeing each other after that.
And she moved to Minnesota?
Well, she was living in Minnesota at the time. She was at drug treatment. She was at the Jane Dickman house.
Got it.
And I was at the exchange program. I don't know if they're not even in existence anymore.
Oh, yeah, you can say it. Okay. There's a lot of questions. We didn't really talk about your cancer when Mom was here.
Oh.
So one of the questions was like your positive outlook on life and having cancer at a young age and your journey. So kind of those go hand in hand. So how old were you when you got diagnosed with cancer?
I was 27.
27.
You were 6 months old.
I was 6 months old, and my sister was like
a year and a half.
A year and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my dad is, you guys will hear it on the podcast before this one, where you said that I got a green piece of candy, and I was like, no, I got a red.
Oh, yeah.
But he's colorblind.
Yeah.
And so the story goes is that you were like coughing a lot.
Oh, yeah. I was coughing a lot in the morning. I'd cough up, It was.
You thought it was like brown.
I thought it was brown or black, and I just thought I was, just coughing it, whatever,
like
up in the
loogies?
morning, loogies in the morning.
Yeah.
Lack of a better way to say it.
Yeah. That's the only word I can think. But so then Mom came in and was like, Dave.
That's blood. That's not blood. Yes, that's blood. You're going to the doctor. I went, okay. But
okay.
I didn't have much of a choice, but yeah.
Yeah. And they did like an x-ray and they saw.
Well, we went to a clinic called Community University Healthcare Clinic.
Yeah.
COOC for short.
COOC.
For short.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It was in South Minneapolis.
Yeah.
They were about to close, so they said, go down to the hospital and they'll take x-rays. You probably got a bleeding ulcer or something like that. Not like really having a bleeding ulcer like I just did.
He did just have one. Yeah.
And I've never had one before.
Yeah.
But anyway, they took x-rays and then they also did a pregnancy test on me.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
What
does that mean?
It means they kind of wanted to find out what kind of cancer I had, and that would help. The cancer that I had, testicular cancer, gives off what they call beta HCG, which is the same thing as what you girls have when you have a baby.
When it's positive pregnancy test?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was pregnant.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So then when you found out you had cancer, where was it?
There were tumors all over my lungs.
Yeah.
There was a couple tumors on my liver, there was a big one between my stomach and spine and a few more other places, but
yeah,
there were so many on my lungs that they couldn't even count them all.
Jeez.
Anywhere from like $50 to down to a dime size.
Yeah. And he has a huge scar on his stomach that is like literally, like it looks like what I imagine back in the day when they would do C-section straight up and down. That's what I would.
They rip it right open.
Yeah. There goes your abs.
Right?
They're gone. They're gone.
Well, it's right from breastbone to pelvic bone.
Ugh. So you were diagnosed with what stage?
Stage 4.
Stage 4. And they were like, you're going to die.
They didn't say that to me, but they said, you got to stay here and have treatment. Otherwise, you will die. But
yeah. So stage 4, I mean, that's like.
Yeah, you're like death warmed over.
And that means, so stage 4, really, they count stages by.
I don't know.
Where it moves? Is that where it goes? How it is? Oh, you don't know.
I don't even know.
I don't know.
They said it was stage 4.
Got it.
Late stage 4.
Yeah. Which me and Danielle like don't really have memories of you being sick, but we do have memories of being babysat by Annette. But that's like our earliest memories of like, yeah, your dad had cancer, and we're like, oh.
Okay.
I have
don't know
no
what
idea.
that is, but
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's different now when you're like an adult and you think about it. Cause like when I was younger and they're like, he almost died when he was 27. And I'm like, that seems old. When you're cause we were so young.
Yeah.
You always were like, you're an adult. So that's whatever. But that's before you're 30. That's crazy.
I know.
So how long were you in treatment before you were cancer free?
Well, I did 5 courses of chemo.
Yeah.
And I always loved it because they would come in to inject me with it. They would come fully garbed, face and everything covered and all that, shields and everything. I asked them one time, I go, why do you got to come in like that?
Yeah.
Oh, we can't get it on our skin because it would burn. I'm like, great. Yeah. You're putting that in me. That's awesome.
And you're like, how does it not burn my insides out?
Right?
That's what's so wild to me. If it burns your skin.
Yeah.
But you're putting it in your body. Yeah.
Putting it in your body. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And chemo sucked.
Terrible.
Yeah. You would never do it again.
No, I'd rather die.
You'd rather die.
Yeah.
So how did that change your outlook on life? My dad, now we're not going to try to get emotional here, but my dad, he's like, no. He wrote a letter, and I have it. It's in my baby book of like, Dear Courtney, I got diagnosed with cancer today. And it was like, I don't know if it was
I don't even remember it.
It's mom has it. She saved it and it's in my baby book. But you basically said, I don't know if I'm going to see you get married, but I really hope I do. Da 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 da. And yeah, he spoke at our wedding. So he made it.
I made it. So I got to see both my girls get married.
Yep. And have a bajillion grandkids, it seems like.
I did pretty good. 9 grandkids out of just the 2 of you.
Well, Dad wanted 6 kids.
Yeah.
But he only got 2 because I was the whoops. I just have to tell everybody I was the whoops and God really wanted me to be here.
No, you weren't the whoops.
Well, kind of.
We just didn't. We were doing natural family planning and we decided to quit doing it.
Oh, did you decide or you were just like, this
lazy.
one time. You got lazy.
I got lazy.
It just takes one time.
Gosh, you got to do this temperature and you got to do this and you got to do that every day.
Yeah.
It was like.
You know what you know what you get now? You get apps for that.
I know.
Shit's bomb. You get an
We
app.
didn't
You're
have
like,
apps back then.
You're ovulating today, and you're like, sorry, but yeah.
Well, it wasn't my fault. It was your mom's fault.
Yeah, we'll blame mom.
You're born.
Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mom. Danielle is.
I wasn't going to say no.
I mean, I know exactly.
So yeah, the reason as far as why I'm gonna I'm not.
Oh, positive.
I like.
Yeah.
I like having my birthdays. I don't care if I'm 63. I'm alive.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Some people piss and moan about it. I'm like, I'm alive.
Yeah. You're like, whatever.
Yeah.
I can deal with a bleeding ulcer.
Right.
I went through cancer. And I don't really think that you have to go through, I don't feel like I have to go through cancer to appreciate life. Because when you go through hard stuff, I could. I don't know. You know what I mean?
You went through hard stuff with Vase.
Yeah. Then you just appreciate everything because you're like, she's alive. We're alive. We're good. We're all together. You know, it's very just the little things that really, get you. Also, can I just say the amount of people that comment that you are Grayson's twin all the time.
How's that?
I don't know, but they every time.
I'm not a spaz.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. He has more energy than you. I will say that, but you guys look exactly the same. Apparently, every time I post a picture of you, they're like, "Oh my God, that's Grayson's twin." Okay, so there's 2 questions that I want to ask. What's your favorite thing about each of your children? Which he only has 2, so you only have to say a couple favorite things about me and Danielle. Don't think too hard.
Yeah, I got to think about this.
Okay, otherwise there's another question that says one thing you're proud of for each of your kid. So you could either do your favorite thing and one thing you're proud of each of us.
Really, but for the both of you, your loyalty is second to none. I mean, when you have a friend, you're super loyal to them.
Yeah, we're friends for life.
Somebody comes up and starts talking smack, you're on them like stink on poop,
Yep. Yeah, sure am.
I mean, both of you are like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's one of the cool things because that's what mom is. Mom's like that.
Yep.
She's super watch out.
Yep.
She's talking mama barrier. And what's my favorite thing about you guys?
Yep.
Probably
that I'm funny.
Favorite thing is, giving me the grandkids.
Yeah.
That is the best thing.
That is true.
I mean, honestly.
Yep.
Just proud of what you both made of yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you doing the stuff you do here and Danielle doing the stuff that she does. I mean, you guys are come a long way. It's so cool to see you guys keep growing that way.
Yeah. One of the questions too was, how do you feel about me sharing everything on the internet. And the stuff that I share, I guess.
I don't even care. I mean, honestly,
Yeah. You listen to our podcast sometimes.
I've listened to all of them so far.
Oh, you've listened to them all. So how do you feel about them so far? Do you like them?
Just the best friend one really kind of sucked. The ending is like, where'd it go?
He's so bummed about that one.
I was like, boy, is there going to be number 2? And there's nothing it says about
I know.
anything.
Well, the thing is like I have to, Ethan didn't mention, and me and Rachel were having some drinks too while we were doing it.
Oh.
But he's like, don't forget that the back of the camera, like you have to watch to make sure it doesn't die. And it died. So then it ruined the whole thing. The end anyway. So anyways, how is being a grandpa different than being a dad?
Night and day.
You can give them back.
You have to give them back. I don't have to change diapers.
Yeah, you do too sometimes.
I do
Used
if
to.
Nana makes me, but otherwise I don't.
Yeah.
And, as far as reprimanding, it's not like reprimanding my own kid. It's like, hey, stop that. Don't do that. You're going to hurt
Knock
somebody.
it off.
Yeah, you're going to rip somebody's eye out. Don't do that.
To the boys mostly.
Or like the boys when they were playing the other day at the party. It's like, oh, why'd you get it? Why are you bleeding?
I know.
Okay. Work it out.
Oh my gosh. Between Grayson and, all the other boys that we have in the families. For us, how many kids? I mean, wait, we have more boys than we do girls. Not the way when we were growing up.
Nope.
Nope.
I was the only guy.
You were the only guy. And we even had
once a month, that was just
girl dogs.
That was a storm.
That was just, I can
Especially
only
in the teenage
imagine.
years.
Yeah, no kidding. I can only imagine.
It's like, whoa, what the heck just happened?
Which grandchild is most similar to Court as a child?
I can't say that.
Yeah. Why?
She would get mad at me.
Nevaeh or Brielle?
Brielle.
Yeah, she probably would. She hates that.
She hates it.
So Brielle is my sister's daughter, and it's weird how
she's a spitting image of you. It's like really crazy.
It's wild. Like Nevaeh, there's certain things of me as a baby that Nevaeh looks like, and like toddler wise and face shape, but like Brielle is like literally looks just like me.
Yeah.
And what the funny story about that one is that I was in the room and we only had Soraya and Austin at that time. And Austin, of course, looks just like Ethan. And right before Danielle was about to push, I was like, hey, you guys. And it was just Matt and Danielle. Wouldn't it be weird if your next baby looked just like Austin? And they both were like, yeah, because Austin looks just like Ethan. And I was like, oh, yeah, like that would be really weird. That's like so creepy. Like, why would I?
Wasn't there.
I know. I was like, I don't even know why I would say that. And then she comes out. They look more like brother and sister sometimes, Austin and Brielle, than Nevaeh and Austin. It's wild how genes work.
I know it.
It's really weird.
She reminds me of you when you were that age right now, where she is right now.
How old is she? Like,
it's like 12,
13?
Yeah.
She does.
She's totally like you at that age.
She has braces and everything just like me. Like,
Yep.
Okay. What is your best advice for raising girls?
Let mom do it.
Yeah. Let mom. You were a good girl dad. Like you weren't awkward about certain girl things. Sometimes you'd be like, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, it's a lot of times I just like get out of there.
Sneak out.
And then just letting you and mom and you and your sister and mom do the stuff together,
Yeah.
Like going to the store at midnight. I never cared.
Yeah.
And you guys would always stay up
Walmart.
real late talking. And I didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, right. You were slightly jealous.
No, I went right to bed. I didn't care. I had to go work in the next day.
He also, I just remember me and my mom and sister would be talking in the other room and he'd be watching TV and it's like blaring. And then all of a sudden he'd mute it. And we'd just all be like, Dad, stop listening. Listening to our conversations. Did you like Ethan from the beginning or did it take time?
I always liked both the guys.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. Ethan, he was just younger and he was just,
annoying.
He was just
first.
annoying at that age. And, and he was just so funny because he was always, he always reminded me of a puppy with too big of feet.
Oh, God, yes. Yes. He like Goofy almost.
Yeah.
Like with the big feet.
But he even when he was a kid, he was kind,
Yeah. Yeah.
He was always a good guy.
Yeah. It's different for us, I feel like, than like you never just like met him when I was like 20.
No. Yeah.
And like, oh, here's
We've
so
just
and
known
so.
him for years, and the same with
Yeah.
Matt, you know.
So Ethan was like, you know, how old was he when you met him? Like friggin'
He was 12, 13.
12. Maybe even younger than that.
Maybe.
I think.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We've known him for so dang long.
For a really long time.
Yeah. The thing is, I've known you all your life. So.
You have.
Yes.
No, I've known you my whole life. You haven't known. That's true. You haven't.
I just said I know you.
Yeah, you're right.
It's
like no. Actually, this is how it is. Yes.
So typical.
That makes sense.
This was so typical right
there. What is one thing that you see Court do as an adult that she did as a child?
You always laugh at people when they get hurt.
Oh my God, I do.
You still do that.
So do you.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. I will say, not. It depends on how severe it is. I should say.
Well, you laughed at me when I fell in the holes.
Well, Dad. Well, because it's funny looking. If you if somebody falls, like, you know, and they trip or something, I can't even help myself.
I know.
I try so hard. That's why those reels on Instagram or TikTok pop up for me all the time, because I just like sit at midnight and like I'm laughing and I'll be like, look at this, Ethan. And these guys are like slipping on the ice and or they scare a baby, like a toddler, and they like freeze and fall. I can't.
Oh my God, I got somebody at work the other day. It was so good. Brett.
See, you should just like have a camera set up, like a scare camera. And just
I just
clips
use,
all the time.
you know, I don't plan it. It just happens. And
I know. Every time I try to scare Ethan, it's like I never have my phone with me.
Right.
And it's always like, oh, I wish I had my phone with me.
It's only the spur of the moment. I just use the moment, you know.
Yeah. Where you're like, he is, because that was one of the questions too. What's the best prank you ever pulled? Which you're a big pranker. But also he just loves to scare people, and I cannot be scared by anyone besides my dad, because everyone else sucks. You can get me every freaking time. It's so annoying. So I try to get you, but you know. Do you have a good prank that you pulled?
I just got somebody the other day as far as scaring them. I don't know,
but not like a prank.
No. I just always use. It's kind of like you're in the moment and you go, oh, I could scare them now.
Yeah.
You know, if I just.
You just hide behind just a quick little corner.
Yeah. It's like my neighbor next door. He didn't see me coming, so I just stood there in his yard, and I was hoping he wouldn't see me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he saw me standing there, and he's like, just freaked right out.
Oh my God. You got to be careful with him. Don't scare him too bad.
I know.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't have I wish I had a good prank too. I
don't really do a prank. I just.
Yeah, just scare.
It's just like in the moment.
I remember Alice. So Alice still lives in my parents' like detached garage or whatever that we used to live in. And she would tell us like, don't scare me. I can't remember the exact words, but she was like, don't do it. Anyways, she was you know, where her windows are, and she had her crank windows open, and I walked by and I just like popped up. She yelled at me, and then I never scared her again. I was like, okay, never mind.
I still scare her.
You do. She hates that.
I know.
She hates being scared. Do you know any of my best embarrassing stories?
Your best?
Yeah.
No. What's your best?
Call, I have a lot. Well, one time when I was doing gymnastics and I was on floor and I had my period and my tampon string was hanging out the whole routine and everyone was watching me. Yeah. And
don't remember that.
You were probably there, but you probably didn't notice. But of course, I will never forget that.
That's terrible.
I know. Ethan was there too. It was like one of his first times coming to one of my meets.
And he saw it?
And everybody's like, tuck your string in. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't think he saw it, no. But of course, it was one of the big meets in the big gym.
Oh, gosh.
I know. But like the floor was enough away that like I don't think people would notice it as much as if, you know, it was in the little gym. As long as it wasn't
flipping, I would be.
No, I know. I don't know if it was. Nobody told me. They just said, I just remember Jen being like, tuck your string in. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, your tampon string. I'm like, That's
Excuse
embarrassing.
me.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to go to the bathroom now.
Yeah.
So
You just don't stand there and do that.
yeah. No, not in front of everyone.
No.
I have embarrassing stories all the time, but Ethan said, I was like, why don't you have any embarrassing stories? And he said, because I think about stuff before I do them.
He's a turd.
I was like, well, whatever. It wasn't really embarrassing. Like when when I jumped out of the van and I just thought I could, walk,
Sure.
Jumping out of a van.
And face planted instead.
Yeah, just boom. Now, I don't know why I would even think that. So,
because you didn't think it through, obviously.
See, he thinks of stuff before he does them. I don't.
No,
I don't.
Go for it.
Okay, here's some good ones. What was court like? No, let's start with this one. Who was the problem child? That is a hard question because there's only two of us and I feel like it flip-flopped.
It did.
Like it wasn't like one specific child.
I just remember once Danielle shooting out the window, but
yeah.
then you got in trouble for
I got grounded.
You got grounded.
I did nothing.
Except she laughed her butt off at her sister for getting in trouble.
Because she started, first of all, let's tell this story. So my sister, you guys were gone somewhere.
Yep, we were gone.
And we were like hanging out on the deck and Danielle was like, I don't know what she was thinking, but she was like, I'm going to take the BB gun out.
Yeah.
And like she had it in between her legs and she was like bending over doing something and she ended up shooting it and it shot the door.
And shot the window.
And it shot the window of the door. So like the glass part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it shattered. And we both were like, oh. And I think she called mom or you. I think it was you maybe.
It was me. And then, but all I heard in the background is you laughing at her.
Yeah, because she was crying. She didn't even say anything. She just was like, oh, and she was crying. And things to this day do not change because Danielle is very emotional. I am not. And I was just laughing at her because she was crying. And then I got grounded.
Yeah.
Danielle didn't. Danielle didn't.
I know.
Danielle felt sincere and I was like, ha ha. And then they're like, you're grounded. And I was like, what the?
You got grounded for laughing at your sister.
I did.
Yeah.
So,
for laughing at her plight.
Yes, I did. I don't even know what that means, but is that like her failure?
Yes.
Plight? I've never even heard that word. So yeah, I mean, it depends. But like if you were to see Danielle and my dad at the kitchen table doing math for like school.
Oh my word.
No, she would have been the problem child at that point.
Yeah, she was the problem child then.
She wouldn't understand and then he would be like, how do you not understand? And then she'd get mad.
I was explaining it as plain as I could. And
yeah.
It still didn't work and I didn't get it. And I was
so annoyed.
I was getting so annoyed and so frustrated and
there would be tears every freaking time.
It would be.
Every time.
She would get so mad at me and I'd get so mad at her.
Yep.
And mom would just be totally PO'd at me.
Yeah. Like
because it's my fault.
You have to be patient.
I was.
I don't know. I don't remember, but there is this.
I tried.
Yeah, you tried. I never had that problem with math. I actually liked math, so I felt like I did pretty good. Right?
Yeah, you did.
Who do you think is more like mom? Or do we just have a good half and half of mom? Because I feel like that.
I think it's more of a good half and half.
Yeah.
You're probably more like mom, but not.
But I also feel like I'm like you in a lot of ways too.
How's that?
Just, I don't care about what people think.
Oh, yeah.
Mom does.
I know.
Ethan does. I guess I don't. Danielle does too.
Danielle does.
I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah, I grew up with that because my mom and dad really cared about what other people thought. And I was like,
oh, did they? Yeah.
Screw them.
Yeah.
No?
You're like, who are they? That's probably, it's that one of the things was the best advice for your kids. And that was probably one that actually stuck with me was not caring what people thought.
Right.
And being unique and different. Like not being like everyone else.
Right.
Like be yourself.
Be you. You know, that's why I loved you.
Yep. See, I said that in the one podcast that was one thing that like I even tell the kids to this day. Like, you know why I love you? Because you're you. And they're always like, because I'm Austin, because I'm Nevaeh, whatever. But that does stick with you. So that was a good. Snippet.
It's stuck. That's
it's
good.
Stuck.
Something did. You
I
were
know,
listening.
Something. I did sometimes, you know.
Couple of times.
Okay. So one of the other questions is here's one other thing before we get into that one. It says, tell us one of your favorite stories about court that she might not remember.
Was it you that was? I don't know. Was it you and Danielle that got the go-kart in the pond?
That was I flipped the go-kart.
That I know.
But Danielle was the one that got it into the pond.
Were you both starting it, or?
No, she was starting it. But I was there when you came running down the stairs, and then you slipped in the entryway.
Yeah.
And it went. So we had this go-kart. We were obsessed with it. Oh, remember me in the cornfield with the go-kart?
Right. That was a great story.
That's a good one.
That was a good one. I like that one.
I definitely was more mischievous than Danielle. I would do things that Danielle would not do.
Right.
And that was one of them. But this go-kart that we had, you would start it and you had to immediately get into it because it would take off.
Well, the throttle stuck on it, so.
Oh, that's what it was. I was like, there's something wrong with it. But Danielle had it literally angled at the pond, and they're the way that the yard is it goes downwards. So she started it and it went straight into the pond. You came flying out, and the dogs were in the way, and you're like, why would you do that? And it was in the pond.
It was in the pond.
There's plenty of go-kart stories, really, honestly, because I flipped it. Because me and Mandy, Rachel's sister, we kind of talked about her last week with Rachel, or a couple weeks ago. But anyway, we were in the go-kart, and we thought it was really smart that it was only a one-person go-kart.
Right.
She would do the gas, and I would do the brake.
Right.
That didn't work.
And where did you flip it? It was on the dirt road, though.
No, it was on the new tar.
Oh, okay.
That it was new at the time. But I remember we flipped it because we kind of hit the curb at an angle. The tire angled it. And I remember we were upside down, and she kind of I think she hit her head and maybe got knocked out a little bit. And she had gas dripping in her hair. And I remember being like, Mandy, wake up, because we were buckled. And I had to unbuckle us, but I knew we were going to fall.
Yeah.
And I just, in my brain, was like, oh my God, this is going to start on fire, and we're going to start on fire, is what I thought was going to happen. Because I just smelled.
Blow up.
Yeah. I just smelled gas. But anyways, we'll tell the farmer story, because we live on a dirt road.
Yeah, he went down to the dirt road, and and it was he just had corn planted.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was going to be really, all the farmers that listen to us are going to hate us. But I thought it was going to be really fun if I went through the cornfield. Right.
No, it probably was. It wasn't that tall.
No, it wasn't. It was toddler height is what I imagined it. It wasn't high enough, because I don't think I could make it through.
No, you wouldn't have
if it was that tall, but it was small. And me and my friend Christina were riding on the go-kart, and all of a sudden he comes flying down with his tractor and yelled at us.
And took your go-kart.
And took the go-kart, and was like, I can't even remember what he said, but I remember he was like, I'm taking your go-kart, and if you want it back, you have to come back and get it. And I was like, oh my God. So we had to walk all the way up our driveway, all the way up a dirt road to our house.
And you had to talk to me to go get it.
Oh my God. That was one moment that
that was actually embarrassing for you.
Yeah, that was a lesson learned for me, because I thought he was going to yell at me. And then my dad immediately, I think I called you, and I was like, the farmer took the go-kart. And you were like, what? Why? I was like, I was driving in his cornfield, and he took it. He literally, with his tractor, towed it back to his house. And so he was like, bake some brownies. And I was like, what? He's like, bake some brownies right now. So I baked him a pan of brownies.
Yep.
And we drove down there, and I said, I'm sorry. And I gave him the brownies back. And then he talked to you for like a half an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it was probably a good hour, actually.
Yeah, probably.
Rick, yeah.
Actually, he just was like, da 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 da.
But he was mad that you did ruin his cornfield.
He was mad. And then I was like, how does he know? Because like in my brain, like the cornfield, like his house was like way over in the middle of the cornfield almost. And I'm like, how did he know I was in there?
Well,
do they have
because the roll cage was yellow.
Oh,
and he could probably see
oh my God,
you.
I forgot there was a flag,
flag
on it.
Something too. Yeah.
The flag, like just da 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 da. I thought I was totally cool, and then I never went in the cornfield again because we used to go in the cornfield like after youth group.
Oh yeah,
because the church was over there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then we would just like, oh, let's like run in the cornfield, and then after that, I was like, I'm never going in the cornfield again. First of all, it's creepy. I always imagine there's going to be literally children in the corn.
That's a movie.
I know. It's a stupid movie too. I seen it. I get my love of scary movies from my dad too. Actually, maybe both of you, because Mom's she's not into horror movies.
No, she likes,
true crime
stuff.
Yeah. But do you like true crime stuff?
No, I do. Yeah, it's fun.
Did you watch the show? Okay, there's multiple shows that I feel like you need to watch. The Curious Case of Natalia Grace on Amazon.
Nope. Did you watch one about Jared?
Yes. Freaking creep.
Right.
God, gross. But did you also watch the Shiny Happy People about the Duggars?
I started watching that. I haven't
You
continued.
There's 3. It's nuts.
And the Duggars seem kind of creepy.
Yeah. The Duggars one, you're going to have to watch it. I told Mom, I was like, you have to watch this. There's this part in there, and I just have to say this because I just think it's the wildest. There's multiple things that just blew my mind about that. Because I used to watch that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I found it fascinating. Like, this is how we cook for this many people. And I just think that's very interesting. Like, they literally had to make pounds and pounds and pounds of food. But anyway, there's this part in there where they show one of the preachers up on stage. And he's like teaching people how to spank their kids.
Neat.
And he goes, does anybody have a kid in here that I can show you? And somebody in the congregation was like, yeah, here. And this little kid goes up there and he shows him how to spank this kid on stage.
Did he use a stick?
No, he used his hand. But they talked about sticks and stuff. And I'm just like, what the heck? Also, there was like the women, they had these like homeschooling pamphlets, right? That they like taught from. And the women had to pick what was the eye catching part of an outfit. Was it this lacy top or this part that showed like this much more of their ankle? And they had to circle it. That was part of.
I'll tell you what, the ankles kill me every time.
It's the ankles for me.
Puts me over the edge, I tell you.
Wow.
Whoa.
The ankle.
Yeah. Not the lacy thing, but the ankle.
Lacy. And if you have a wedge like this high, like that'll do it for them too.
I don't know what you mean by wedge.
Like a shoe.
Oh.
Sorry. Okay. Like a little, it's not a heel, it's a wedge. So it's just a little bit bigger than a
little bit of a rise.
A little tiny bit. You see a little calf muscle?
Ooh.
That'll do
well,
it.
How can you? You can't even see the ankle.
I know. Because it goes down to there and then they have their turtlenecks up to here. But anyway, there's also this part that the guy said, my friend who was in this cult basically was like, I never learned higher than a fraction because my dad told me it doesn't matter. You're just going to be baking and cooking all day. Can you believe that?
There's so many things I could say right now.
Your brain just like, oh my God. I literally gasped.
As it should be.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
Holy cow. No way.
Yeah. Insane. Anyways, okay. So the very last question we're going to do, because we're already almost at an hour. This one's, I feel like could be a hard one to talk about because it says, how did you handle all the emotions dealing with Nevaeh's strokes and surgeries?
I don't know. I cried, and once I got the crying done, I was good to go after that.
Yeah, you got to get one good cry, and then that's...
there was a couple good cries.
There's a couple.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like...
Do you remember specifically, like, us telling you about her stroke? Where were you? What were you... Because I remember it, like...
I don't know. We were home, and it...
Yeah.
And it's like, she what? I mean, yeah. And it took a couple days to actually sink in because I was like, I don't get it. How can a 10-year-old have a stroke?
I know.
That doesn't even compute.
I know.
I think it really hit home more when she came home.
Yeah.
And she wasn't able to really walk fully.
Yeah, she had the walker.
Yeah.
And then she had this belt that we had to use to hold her just in case she would fall or whatever.
Yeah, because she was really wobbly.
Yeah. I think that's when everybody, that's when it hit Austin too.
Yeah.
Because it was 2020, so nobody could come visit her at the hospital. And so it's of course we were taking videos and stuff and showing how she was walking, but it's different when you see it.
Right.
It's scary.
It was scary.
Yeah.
And then the surgeries is good. And there was another couple of good cries there. I mean.
Yeah. I cried every time she had surgery because even I thought the second one was going to be easier than the first one. But it's still when they wheel her around and she has that big wrap on her head. And the first surgery, she was way more in pain. Remember that? And she just was I know she doesn't remember a lot. And we were kind of, I was telling her about it. Because I'm the second surgery she was just they gave her enough meds to sleep.
Yeah, I don't think it was quite as bad though either. She wasn't under the blade as long.
And she wasn't as swollen.
Right.
The other side is almost immediately swollen. The next day she was super swollen and whatnot. But when they wheeled her in, I just was oh my God.
And now it's she had surgery?
I know. So I just want to be oh my gosh, that's it, right?
Yeah.
It's
just so weird to have something like that happen. I mean.
Yeah.
Just to even think about it. Okay, it'd be, that's for me. I can understand having a surgery.
Right.
I'm old. I lived life and ate a bunch of bad food and my veins should get clogged and everything and have a stroke or whatever. That should be for me.
Yeah.
Not for a 10-year-old kid that hasn't even had barely a cheeseburger.
I know. I remember when they told us she had the stroke, and I remember being okay, how does a 10-year-old have a stroke?
Right.
How does that even happen?
It still doesn't compute even to say. I don't care what the doctors say.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Well, even I think for Nevaeh too, it doesn't it to me in my brain, it reminds me of when I was younger and people would mom would tell me, you having your cancer and this and this and this. And I would be yeah, okay. I didn't get it.
Right.
And I feel Nevaeh doesn't yet until she's older. 'Cause she'll be yeah, remember when I had my stroke and da da da. And it's she doesn't understand how big of a deal a stroke is, especially at 10.
I know.
She's just yeah, I just had, I had my stroke. People who are older are what?
I know. You had a stroke?
Yeah. I just remember typing, she had a fucking stroke. That's when I remember texting Rachel and mom. That's I couldn't even even believe it. Because I didn't even know what else do you write? I couldn't even call anybody.
Right.
Mom, even when after we found out that she had to have brain surgery, she's calling me. I was I don't want to talk right now.
I know.
I can't talk. Ethan and mom are that way, that they're let's talk about it. And I want to be no, it takes me a hot minute to talk about stuff.
It's more than a minute.
Yeah, it will be a week.
Right.
I have to process it.
Exactly.
I was reading in my book. So my dad is an Enneagram 5.
Yeah.
And I'm an Enneagram 8. And I like to say when you're a healthy 5, you pull more towards 8s. That's what Danielle says. You know what I mean?
That's what she says.
And I said, when dad grows up, he wants to be an 8 like me.
Never going to happen.
But you know what it says in my book? I was reading it today. When you're an 8 and you're stressed out, you pull 5s.
Oh, really?
Isn't that weird? So when 8s get stressed out, they withdraw and they don't talk and they process things alone, which isn't healthy, but that's what they,
That's what 5s do.
That's what 5s do.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
All the time.
Yeah. When you're it's really stressful, you're no, I'm going to go.
Like when I have my surgeries and stuff.
Yeah.
I would have to know how they do it.
Yeah.
So when I had my back surgery, I had my 5-level back fusion.
Yeah.
I had to find a video.
Oh my
a YouTube
God,
video
no way.
that did actually the same surgery that I had. And so I would watch it.
How does that help you?
Because then I know exactly
what they're doing?
What they're doing and everything, yeah. And the same with my knee surgeries and everything, too.
Oh, Ethan did that when he got his vasectomy. We're watching vasectomy videos, and I'm like, ew, why are you watching this? I wouldn't want to know.
See, like I had my nose redone.
Yeah.
Because it was crooked, remember?
Yeah.
I couldn't watch that one.
No.
That's like gross.
I've watched Botched so many times.
That's gross.
And when they're like tink, 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 tink on the nose, I'm like, ah. And they like pull up freaking half your face. I swear to God.
It's a bloody mess. Yeah.
I can't do it. But fives are researchers. I don't feel like, you research a lot.
Yeah,
like you just, like, hey.
I have to know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I had my surgery, when I had cancer.
Yeah.
When they said they had to have that laparotomy. I asked the doctor.
There was no Google then.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Tell me how it works.
Uh-huh.
And he gave me the step-by-step on exactly what happens.
Well,
so we cut you open.
Yeah.
Then we take your intestines out and put it in a bag.
Lay
it on the side of you. Go in there and pull all the tumors out.
I could never be a doctor.
Everything. A doctor. Those guys are cool.
I know. It's actually so
like
impressive.
All they are glorified carpenters.
Oh yeah, that's how you say it. Mm-hmm. Glorified carpenters.
Right.
Because they
you get in there with a hammer and saw. Come on.
I know. And they take things apart and then they put it right back together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was very, like with Nevaeh's surgery, I guess I was like that. And I wish I wouldn't have asked like right in front of her. But like when she said, oh, she's going to have this brain surgery, I'm like thinking, so how are they doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Are they like, I'm imagining, and she did this. Well, we're going to have to like take her skull and like she did this motion. And I'm like,
oh, take her skull off.
Like half her skull is what it looked like.
Yeah.
I'm imagining, and me and Nevaeh both are like, but I knew Nevaeh was going to be like, okay, how's my hair going to be? Like what's the scar going to look like? That kind of stuff. But I wasn't imagining, and it's not even remotely how the brain surgery even was.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
They didn't even open a skull.
Well, they drilled a hole in the skull, but they didn't do that.
Right.
That was like option 3 if the first one didn't like work. So, but yeah, it's so interesting. He was telling us about how some of the surgeries he was doing, and I'm like, wow, can you imagine? Just a neurosurgeon.
Another day at the office.
I know. Well, when I feel like it makes you feel better to know that, okay, out of all the surgery, like in normal world, Nevaeh's surgery is not normal, but to these neurosurgeons, it's pretty normal.
Yeah, it's like.
And a very successful surgery, which is good to know, but.
Very routine.
Yeah. But you're like, but this is my kid.
I know, right?
So,
this is my little baby girl.
I just want you to know you better just do a really good job.
Yeah, let me see your hands.
I know. Yeah, no. He is a very like cool guy. I bet he has some really cool stories.
Oh, I bet he does, yeah.
I would love to listen to some of those podcasts. What are your favorite podcasts to listen to before we go?
I listened to a guy that is a brain surgeon.
Really?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Let me find it here real quick. Self-brain surgery with Dr. Lee Warren.
Oh, what's he talk about? Just like stories?
Stories, but of course he's a Christian.
Oh.
And he's talking about how you can change your mind.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Change your mind.
Yes.
And I just listen to true crime podcasts all the time.
There you go.
Or I listen to books. I do love a good Audible book.
Yes.
So there's that too. But it's like, I like romance books when I'm listening to them, but I like listening to true crime podcasts.
I have never listened to a romance book.
No? You're not interested? You wouldn't. You would not.
What's a romance book? What would that be?
It's like, I don't know. I guess it depends on what you're talking about. Like, oh, this rich girl goes to Maine because her dad, said you can't. I don't know.
Oh.
You're getting kicked off the credit card, and then she meets some captain, that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. So romantic.
It's way better when you're listening to it. I can't explain it. There's no way. It would be weird.
I don't know.
You'd be like, oh, I don't like that.
Nope. Couldn't do it.
Okay. Well, before we go, do you have any advice for any other girl dads or parenting for girls? I know we kind of talked about that, but I don't know if you...
I don't know. As far as I can tell, girls are easier when they're younger.
Yeah.
Because they're not as emotional.
Yeah.
As boys are when they're younger.
Yeah.
But in the teenage years, it kind of flips.
Yeah.
And things get a little hairy. Especially when it starts to become, when they start...
menstruating.
There you go. I was going to say dot, but,
Dot. Period. That thing.
So it always got to be a little hairy during that time.
Patience.
But one thing great was...
Yeah.
And I just think this is kind of fun because God is so cool.
Yeah.
And he just does this for guys. He makes sure that all the women are, synced.
Yeah.
So you all have it at the same time.
So you would rather have it that way than...
Yeah. Can you imagine 3 weeks out of the month?
Yeah. Somebody's freaking out.
Somebody's freaking.
Yeah.
At least it's 1 week and they're all freaking.
Yeah. And then after that.
Yeah. So I can, then I know where I can be, during that one part of the month.
You didn't travel. So you were... Ethan's like, oh, I travel that week. I'm like, yeah, right. You try, but doesn't end up working. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
As far as with girls, I don't know. I thought you girls were quite easy.
I think so. I think maybe
it probably helps having a good mom.
Yeah. Not all people are blessed with a good mom.
No.
That's for sure. Yeah. Mom's a good mom. So.
Nae's a good mom. Yeah.
Yep. She taught us how to be good moms, and you taught us how to have a good husband or pick a good husband.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, you guys.
All right. This is it.
I hope you enjoyed all of our random stories, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks for having my dad on here. Thanks for being on the podcast today.
Hey, thanks for letting me be your dad.
That was easy for you to say.
All right? Exactly.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Exactly. Happy birthday.
Thanks. It's coming up.